welcome back to Kim Reads as we continue with Hunchback of Notre Dame. Chapter 7, Sir Robert and the Day's Trials. Sir Robert, the mayor of Paris, was usually a very happy man, but on the morning of January 7, 1482, he woke up in a foul temper. Where did this bad mood come from? He knew the city was a mess from the festival, and he had to make sure it got cleaned up. He would also have to spend a day in court listening to all the problems from the day before. Festivals always created a lot of problems. By all accounts, it was going to be a very long day. And now Sir Robert was running late. Trials had begun at 8 o'clock that morning. Dozens of people were crowded into the small room of the main courthouse. Two sergeants in their bright red and blue jackets stood by the door. A clerk sat nearby writing quickly. The judge was old and deaf, which always presented a number of problems. Many of the students who had attended the play were in the audience watching the cases. One of them was Jean, Claude Frollo's brother. He was there with his friend Johannes. The two laughed and joked about people the judge punished. Johannes, Jean tapped his friend on the shoulder to grab his attention. It's Quasimodo, our Pope of Fools, the one-eyed hunchback that my brother pities. Sure enough, there was a Quasimodo with his hands and feet tied up. An entire company of soldiers stood around him, but he didn't make a sound. The clerk handed the judge the charges against Quasimodo. The judge went to a great length to conceal his deafness. He had always read the files beforehand so he wouldn't have to have too many questions. Now he threw his head back and shut his eyes. The room fell quiet. What's your name? The judge shouted. Quasimodo, who was also deaf, did not answer. The judge carried on. Fine. Your age? Again, the hunchback said nothing. Well then, you are accused of making mischief, making a nighttime disturbance, of attacking a girl and refusing arrest. What do you have to say for yourself? A roar of laughter overtook the room. Even the clerk was giggling. Quasimodo turned around and shrugged. The judge thought that Quasimodo had made them laugh. Do you realize how much trouble you are in? He asked. Do you know to whom you are speaking? The last question made everyone laugh even harder. Quasimodo had not said a word. Now the hunchback and the judge were the only two people in the room not giggling. Even the soldiers on guard shook with laughter. The judge wanted Quasimodo to fear him, so he shouted, How dare you act this way in front of a judge? I am in charge here. I make the rules. Suddenly the door opened and Sir Robert appeared. Mr. Mayor, the judge shouted, I demanded to know how you're going to punish this man. The mayor worked his way through the crowd and sat in the chair. Then he turned to Quasimodo and said, What have you done to end up here? But Quasimodo thought Sir Robert was asking his name. Quasimodo, he replied in a harsh, raspy voice. Sir Robert became angry. Are you making fun of me? Now Quasimodo thought Sir Robert was asking what he did for a living. Bell ringer at Notre Dame, he answered. The giggling started up again. Bell ringer, the mayor asked. His mood had not improved. What are you talking about? I will be 20 in a few months, I think, Quasimodo said. Quasimodo's strange answers made the mayor lose his temper. Take him outside and throw some cold water on him. That should scare him into making sense. But the judge finally figured out what was going on. Goodness me, he's deaf. He doesn't need to be water thrown at him. Let's just put him in the stocks at the Place de Grève for an hour. With his head and hands bound in the wooden slates, he should learn his lesson. Well done, Johannes and Jean shouted. Well done. The Place de Grève was a mess. Rags, ribbons, feathers, and drops of wax covered the square. The shopkeepers were all around greeting anyone who passed. Members of the King's Guard had standing watch beside the stocks all morning. People knew that someone was going to be punished that day, so they waited. Shouts were heard as the guards brought Quasimodo forward. It was quite a sight. The Pope of Fools, now a lowly prisoner. Yet Quasimodo's remained calm. He did not cry or shout. Look at him, Jean said to Johannes. He has no idea what is going to happen to him. A scary-looking man led Quasimodo to the stocks. When he realized that the giant wooden blocks were going to be prison, Quasimodo began to shake. Looking at his face made everyone laugh, for he was terrified. The man pulled Quasimodo's arm toward the stocks and forced his head into place. At first the hunchback fought and shook the stocks for all he was worth, but then they were locked into place. Quasimodo's face fell. He closed one eye and let his head drop as far as the wooden prison would allow. Okay, that's the end of that chapter. See you later.